Mi gente, we welcome back our first guest, Ballet Hispánico's artistic director and CEO, the incomparable Eduardo Vilaro. Born in Cuba and raised in New York, Eduardo has created over 40 ballets devoted to capturing the Latin American experience in its totality, diversity, and through its intersectionality and other diasporas. Ballet Hispánico celebrates Eduardo's 15th season, mi gente. And well, that's all while they're debuting their spring performances. Excuse me, their spring performances. And joining us to share more on their quinceañera. We welcome back to open Bronx Walk of Famer, Ballet Hispánico's artistic director and CEO, and dear friend, Eduardo Vilaro. Hey,
Hola,
Eduardo.
amor.
Oh my gosh, I gotta be like, happy quinceañera.
Yes, I'm so excited. It is, quinceañeras are all about pageantry and gorgeousness and fabulousness. And it's such a pleasure to see you and to be with you today.
Thank you, Vilaro, Mr. Vilaro. I was hoping to be with you in person, pero this will do for now. And I say that only because we spent a lot of time together during the pandemic this way. So,
Yes.
to say that we have been able to continue forging forward and not only that, moving forward with this sense of intentionality and the work that you all do. I remember being a part of your 50th anniversary of Ballet Hispánico, that is, and now you're in your 53rd year, right?
54th year.
54th, right. Last year was the 53rd gala that of the images that I was looking at. And so, and in addition to that, your 15th season, right, for you, Eduardo Vilaro. Now, talk to me about like how you approach each season and why you chose the choreography or the storyline, I should say, that you've chosen this year to choreograph around.
Well, this season, I needed to make sure that we had a celebration that speaks to our culture. And, in America, everything's in decades. But there's something really special about our quinceañera. It's still celebrated. I mean, I think there's a big comeback to quinceañeras throughout this country. So I'm really happy about that because it is a rite of passage. It is a moment of celebrating newness. And I really wanted to take that. But at the same time, you're letting things go and you're looking towards the future. So
Well,
this,
yes, no, continue. Newness. You
so
caught me on
this,
newness. I'm like, newness.
right?
Yeah, solar
This
eclipse,
season,
newness.
right? This season is about that. It's about moving forward, looking ahead, but also looking at what Ballet Hispanico can do as an arts organization to bring our stories to light, to bring the intersections that we have in our culture, to bring narratives that have been invisibilized.
Right. And so, just to introduce our audience, should they be unfamiliar with Ballet Hispánico, and because we are dealing in that realm of intersectionality, and because you do also exercise the traditional and then fuse it with like cultural, and you create this experience that is it's really palpable. I'm a big fan. Obviously, we know this. I don't know how many times you've appeared on the show, and it's never short of an awe moment in what you put together. So
Oh, that's very sweet.
it really is, and I know this year you've got like a Creole flavor. You're also your particular one is Buscando a Juan, which is an artist that I would love for us to discuss because it's because of your choice in choreographing around this storyline that I took a deeper dive into learning more about this particular artist. And I'm curious to know how you're going to be able to educate the audience through the narrative of movement.
So Juan de Pareja is an artist, is a Spanish artist. He's an Afro Hispanic artist, and was Diego Velázquez, Spain's most famous colonialist painter, he was his slave. I knew about Juan de Pareja, but the Metropolitan Museum came to me because of their exhibit, Juan de Pareja, Afro-Hispanic painter, and said we'd love to do an embodiment of the work. How would you be interested in creating a work? And so I created a site-specific work in one of the galleries right below one of his most famous paintings, which was remarkable. And so the thing about site specific is I did it in this octagon with a fountain in the middle. And so the environment is created for you in a way. And it was a beautiful discovery because I had to do research as well. I knew of the work that Diego Velázquez did a portrait of him. And it's one of the few portraits where we see an Afro-Hispanic or someone of African descent from that time royally, in garb, dress, and it's really amazing. So I had to go in and start finding out who is this man. There's very little information.
I started diving in, and aside from the fact that this is a 1600s story, and the fact that they're unsure as to whether his mom was African American and his dad was Spaniard, and the fact that he was enslaved as an artist and then eventually freed, it just makes me go, wow, this is our history dating all the way back to the 1600s, and we're not really taught that.
Right, and for me, I was very, the allure was that he is, like all of us. Not only is he mestizos, he is a syncretized body. There are so many things going through him that he may be using as an artist. So I'm looking at me as an artist and him as an artist, and how we walk these paths of all this intersection that happens to us. So for him, we don't know if he was Moorish. We don't know if he was mestizo, already of Spanish descent, that he was there, or pure African. There's many things. But the things we did know that were very interesting to me was that he had this power dynamic relationship, of course, slave owner, master, with a major painter, that he traveled with this painter when Diego Velázquez was commissioned to do works overseas. So there was this. I was very intrigued by this relationship because it's almost as we have interesting relationships and power dynamics in our lives as immigrants, as people of color. So I really looked at Juan de Pareja as a mirror to myself and my struggles and the things that I've had to go through with certain power dynamics. So it was, I don't want to make this so heavy because there's a beauty of it also. I mean, not only there's religion around this, all he painted a lot of, which at the time, that was it, the reverence to religion. So religion for him was, I don't know if he was born into Catholicism or if he had to negate, which at that time was happening in Spain. You had to negate your religion if you were Jewish or Muslim. They were purifying the community. So there was so much fodder for me. And as an artist, I was like, okay, I've got to get into it. And so really, this work is called Buscando a Juan because I'm still searching for who he is. The only clear thing that I have was his manumism papers when Diego Velázquez freed him.
Got it.
So that was clear that he was freed.
Right. And that's how he came into his own recognition as an independent artist in his own right.
Correct.
Right. And so that was lovely. And thank you so much for sharing that with me and our viewers. I just wonder, like, how that registers into movement so that people understand the value of that information.
So dance is a language. It is a language of the body. And what we as dance artists, dance choreographers, dance makers do is take the space and create image-based stories that one can take and develop their own ideas about what's going on. That's important because there should be a clarity about what's going on, but you should allow the audience to come into that environment that you build.
Right.
And so for me, there are some things that the audience will not get. I know it because it's in my head,
Right.
and it's sometimes there are things that are too um, personal for that. But the major themes of who this person is, the emotional content, the experience between the duets that might be, or the experience of people together, the tension that builds. You build that through dance and movement.
Got it.
We in our culture have dance because it's very folk and of the people and
Right.
music, and we understand that. But we also understand los gestos, the gestures, las miradas.
Right.
So you have to think of dance as taking all of that and putting it together into a bigger form.
Got it.
Like he painted these gorgeous pictures, I'm trying to paint this self portrait of him on stage.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Beautifully said. Beautifully said because it makes sense. And not only that, you're also enticing people to want to look into it further.
Absolutely.
While finding themselves in relations to it, right? Especially if you're coming from our sector, right, of being BIPOC. And so that's one of the things that I really appreciate about your work and the work that Ballet Hispánico does. And so before we go, Eduardo, really quickly, what are we to expect throughout this particular run?
Oh, but there's so much more. There's this great work by Annabelle Lopez Ochoa called House of Mademoiselle. She came back and took a work that she did earlier for us back in 2010 called Mademoiselle, and brought in centralized it around fluidity, and she's celebrating women and the Marias. All the songs are about a Maria, but her main character is this fantastic drag queen. And I know it sounds like, oh, is this? But it's campy, it's fun. What she wants to say is that there's a Maria in all of us. The power of the Latina woman it affects even me, and I'm a product of that. Seeing my mother, raise three children in the Bronx with no English, right? The power of that woman, and so it's a great, fun, campy, gorgeous work. And then we finish off with Gustavo Ramirez Sanzano, which is music by Perez Prado, the man who made Mambo come alive with big band sound. So it's that. And then finally, we have a very special program, Saturday Matinee, in our En Familia program, which is for kids from 2 to 90. And, it's a little moderation, but it's specific works that really speak about our Latine, Latinx, Hispanic culture and the joy that we have in our art.
And this is all taking place April 26th, 7th, and 8th, and 9th,
At
right? 26th, 7th,
26th through the 28th.
Right. And then this is at New York
City
City
Center.
Center. Right, right. Got it.
Yes.
Got it. I just want to make sure. I want to make sure that our viewers know as well. Once again, everyone, I could keep going on and on with Eduardo because this is so refreshing and so important. And thank you for bringing it here and sharing it with me and our viewers. Once again, Eduardo Vilaro, Artistic Director and CEO of Ballet Hispánico. And for more information on all the performances we've mentioned, be sure to visit ballethispanico.org. And stay tuned. There's more open when we return.